Welcome back to In Defense of the Awkward Moment. No credits this time, just going to be a quick series of at-a-glances. Lots of things that I wanted to talk about, and quite frankly, I didn't want to make title cards for all of them, because I'm lazy. Have seen a couple of good movies, have eaten some food that may or may not have been awesome, and just wanted to cover all those things. First up on the list, finally had time to sit down and watch the Lego Batman movie. When the original Lego movie came out, it was a little bit too sugary, a little bit too saccharine, a little bit too schlocky for me. However, the movie was absolutely a technical accomplishment with how they did all of the animation in the movie and how many different ways they used Legos. So while the movie itself I didn't find particularly appealing, I was absolutely blown away by the production values in the movie, and graphically it was an absolute masterpiece. The Lego Batman movie, less so. Like so many Batman movies, like so many things themed with DC, the movie is dark in a lot of places, and it seems kind of odd to talk about the cinematography of a film when it's mainly comprised of Legos, but the cinematography for this movie was horrible. The animation felt choppy. It just really didn't feel like it went out of its way to showcase everything that made Lego awesome in the first movie. There was a fair bit of nostalgia in the first movie, even if you didn't care for the content itself. Lots of us played with Legos when we were growing up, and that's just not there in it. Will the kids absolutely love the movie? Yeah, they will. Because it's Lego Batman and the character is vaguely humorous. But other than the fact that Lego Batman is vaguely humorous, the rest of the movie is almost utterly a throwaway. Almost utterly a throwaway. A lot of the movie focuses around the Phantom Zone and the fact that Superman sent Zod to the Phantom Zone because that's where you put bad guys when they play on that level. And without spoiling a whole lot of the movie, the Phantom Zone comes back into effect, but you never see Zod once. And that bothered me a little bit. If you've got kids, they'll eat it up with a spoon, but this isn't nearly as much of an accomplishment as the Lego movie was. And I will stand by that. Next thing on the agenda here, sorry, I'm looking at a list. Restaurant down in South Overland Park, a barbecue joint called Crazy Good Eats. We decided to sample for the first time a couple of days ago while some friends were in town. Barbecue is kind of a contentious thing for anybody that lives in Kansas City. Once you find your barbecue spot, it's difficult to be swayed from that. You find your holy grail of barbecue, and anything else is lesser. Probably the two places in Kansas City that I've eaten barbecue the most are Fiorella's Jack Stack, and my absolute favorite barbecue place in the whole wide world, Brobeck's, over on Indian Creek Parkway in Rowe, which if you have not been, you absolutely must go. Order the ham salad. Be sure to give the owner a high five when he walks past, which he does with some frequency. Jack Stack's not bad. I think it's overpriced. Expensive barbecue it seems like kind of an oxymoron to me. There's a certain amount of money that goes into making good meat, but expensive barbecue is one of those oxymorons for me from a food standpoint. That's right up there with gourmet hot dog. The hot dog is, by its nature, not gourmet. You can have sausages, you can have other kinds of meat encasings, but on its own, the hot dog is not gourmet, and an attempt to make it so sort of betrays one of the things that makes the hot dog great, and I feel kind of strongly about that. Crazy Good Eats down at Merlin and 151st Street. Neither crazy nor good, but still vaguely edible. So 1 out of 3 ain't bad. We ordered several things off the menu. We ordered their Mad Meatball. We ordered their, it wasn't the Asylum. It was the Straight Jacket, which was a bacon-wrapped hot dog with cheese. We ordered some of their burnt ends. We had some of their beans. We had some of their jalapeno corn nuggets. We had some of their sauce. We really kind of got a passably decent sampling of a lot of stuff on their menu. I had the Kansas City original some kind of a sandwich with pulled pork and brisket and bacon and onions and stuff. And the most that I can say about 99% of the food that we had from there was it was some food. The meat was some meat. It wasn't well seasoned. It wasn't well rubbed. Their barbecue sauce was some sauce. There wasn't really any emerging flavor to it at all. The bacon wrapped meatballs that they had, their mega meatballs, they weren't bad, but they feel really, really proud of their meatballs. It's the better part of $2 for a single meatball wrapped in bacon, and that's just, that's just ridiculous. That's just absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, virtually nothing. The jalapeno corn nuggets weren't bad. But virtually nothing about this place kind of stuck out. I've had some amazing freaking barbecue. A little bit of a shout out to Waldo. I know Rhonda probably isn't watching. Best pulled pork I've ever had by far is made by this barbecue team called Waldo Barbecue. So good. Their pulled pork is just off the freaking chain. But no, this place, neither crazy nor good, and barely edible. The single best thing that we had was that straight jacket hot dog, because it's kind of hard to fuck up a hot dog by wrapping it in bacon and putting a little bit of cheese on it. That was pretty stinking good. But again, at the better part of $4 for a hot dog, well overpriced. Probably won't go back there again. They had a shot. They read, I can't, rank number one in barbecue and blah, 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 blah. No. Can't do that again. Probably won't ever go back. Yeah. Let's talk about Underworld Blood Wars next. This was a decent franchise. There are several movies, and I've talked about this a couple times in my reviews in the past. There are several franchises that have kind of defined how critters are supposed to look for me. Read a lot of swords and sorcery fantasy books growing up, played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, still play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. And different movies have really kind of consolidated what critters look like and how critters behaved to me. Pirates of the Caribbean had those wonderful skeletons. Curse of the Black Pearl, wonderful skeletons. That's the way skeletons are supposed to look. Much love and affection to Ray Harryhausen and the work they did on Clash of the Titans. Excuse me, I don't think that was Clash of the Titans. I think that was Jason and the Argonauts. If somebody wants to straighten me out on that in the comments, that'd be awesome. But yeah, the skeletons that were done in Gore Verbinski's Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, so good. I mean, that in my mind was such an excellent example of how, skeletons look when they attack you. Much in the same way, dragons. Forget whatever the hell that thing was in Harry Potter and in so many of the other movies. You want to know what a good dragon looks like? Go watch Reign of Fire. So good. Not that I didn't absolutely love Benedict Cumberbatch's turn as Smaug in the Hobbit movies, but just as far as real honest to God swords and sorcery, fantasy, dragons, Reign of Fire, so good. Yeah, so good. Then you get to the Underworld series, and that's where your werewolves come into play. Again, Harry Potter, don't know what in the nine hells they were thinking there. And the creature shop that's what blows me away about all that. So many of the other critters in the Harry Potter world were so well done, and then they get to the dragons and they get to the werewolves and they just ran out of stamina. It was so bad. But the werewolves in Underworld, they're just always just absolutely freaking insane. They always looked good. The way that they moved was good. It's just hugely convincing. So you get back to this series of movies, and the first Underworld was fun to watch and cute and amusing. The second Underworld really kind of expanded on that story. Still cute, still amusing. Celine gets even stronger in order to deal with vampire elders, and the way that she does it is convincing. Very cool. Then you get to the third Underworld movie, and that's a prequel. The excellent Michael Sheen is doing his work there. I think it's either Michael Sheen or somebody that look kind of like him. Was there and fun to watch. Very, very fun to watch. Rona Mitra in tight leather is never bad. Then you get to the fourth one. The fourth movie is where is where that franchise kind of started coming off rails. And if we're honest, it started coming off those rails in the third movie, and the fourth movie was where we realized that it was off the rails. God, what is it? There was Underworld, Underworld Evolution, Underworld Extinction? I'm getting those in the Resident Evil movies. I'll set up. I don't know. I got nothing. That tells you how remarkable they became after the second movie. In the third movie, you've got the introduction of Celine's daughter, who, Celine was a badass and Michael was a badass. So, of course, their daughter stands to be an absolute just world-ending badass. Suspiciously, I can't remember a whole lot about the third movie. Or, the fourth. Woof. The fourth movie. Meh. Can't remember a whole lot about the fourth movie. Now, all of a sudden, here we are in the fifth movie. The vampires are still doing their thing. The werewolves are still doing their thing. In spite of the fact that the vampires have every fucking technological advantage that you could possibly have, the werewolves still manage to amass heaping piles of werewolves that want to make an assault on vampire strongholds. Somewhere in the middle of all of this, they want to find Celine because Celine's blood is the key to brewing a better vampire. And the vampires want her to build a better vampire, and the werewolves want her to build a better hybrid, and blur, and the motivations are just really, really weak. Somebody somewhere gets a hold of Michael's blood and becomes even bigger and stronger. This is the part where the movie, for as much as these things are off the rails and at this point skidding sideways down the track, this is the part where things get a little weird. And even looser than they were previously. We've established that Celine is just a monster badass because she's drank the right magic blood in the right places, and her eyes can turn neat colors, and she's powerful and can go toe-to-toe with a hybrid. Yet somehow, in the middle of all of this, she decides that she needs to level up again. It's like Dragon Ball Z. You level up, you defeat the current bad guy, then a new bad guy comes around. He's suspiciously even stronger for reasons that aren't well outlined in the story, so you need to go level up again. And this time, your hair color has to change. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z with vampires and werewolves. It really, really is. I would love to sit here and tell you how Celine levels up, but quite frankly, I still don't understand how Celine levels up, or where this other. This is such a pure, perfect example of pulling a MacGuffin out of your ass in order to make the movie work. That you're just like, what the fuck was that? The vampires have some super secret skinny dipping pool that gives you sight beyond sight. Thundercats ho. And you can suddenly teleport. Why aren't every single one of those fang-head bastards dipped in that thing so that they can... It's such a freaking non sequitur. You're like, wow, nobody even tried with this movie. It's so bad. If you've watched all the other movies, you might want to give it a cursory watch. But holy moly, it's so bad. It's so very, very bad. Moving forward to the last thing that I want to talk about, maybe the most important thing, is the Salomon Tech Amphib 3 river shoe. River shoe, water shoe, cross-country, go-anywhere, ATV shoe. I don't know what the actual... We always call them river shoes or water shoes. I go on a float trip every year. It's wonderful. Thank you, Joyce. And invariably on this river that we're floating on, the water isn't high enough for the raft to pass, especially not with my rotundous ass in it. So you have to do something called portage, which is basically a fancy way of saying you get out of the raft, and if the water is still deep enough, the raft floats along to where it's deeper and you can get back in without dragging on the bottom. If you can't, you pick the raft up and you move it from one place to the other. The process is called portaging. That's a tricky proposition on a river, when the bottom of the river could be sand, it could be silt, it could be muck, it could be rocks ranging anywhere from pea gravel size to things that are the size of a VW bug. There could be trees, there could be sticks. So that's a difficult enough proposition. That would be a difficult enough proposition on dry land, but you add running water to that and things just go sideways so fast. So you need a shoe that has a good solid construction to it that will let you walk around without getting hurt, and something that will keep water, something that will keep rocks and silt and things that would hurt the bottom of your tender feet out of the shoe. Because if you've got that crap in your shoe, it's hugely inconvenient to get it back out. So in addition to needing to protect your foot, the thing also needs to have a way to drain water out of it without just letting everything in. Of course, just wear a sandal. Well, sandals are neat. They certainly let the water out, but they also let every fucking thing else in the river in. And sandals don't really offer a whole lot of good all-around protection for your foot. And unless you have them ratcheted down super duper tight, sandals can slide around all over the place on your foot. It's no good. I have tried many different kinds of water shoes, and it's kind of a Goldilocks thing. Some have a sole that's too soft, and so you end up just bruised from foot to knee, and walking tenderly, and everything fucking hurts, and you're just exhausted. I've tried wearing just real honest-to-God sneakers that I didn't care about anymore on the river. Those are great, but invariably they get waterlogged. You risk getting swamp foot, which some people call trench foot, which is no good. And if you ever do get any kind of rocks or silt or sediment on the inside of them, which is very possible when you sink up to your bloody ankle in the bottom of whatever muck happens to be on the bottom of the river, you can't get them out again. And trying to take a wet shoe that's designed to fit your foot snugly on and off is just an exercise in hilarity. It really is. And it's tough to do on the best of days, and there's not a convenient bench for you to sit around and do it on. Yeah, you could do it on the side of the raft, but the raft is moving, the raft is slippery, your foot's soaking wet, the shoe is soaking wet, and it's just really kind of a pathway to frustration. So much so that this was probably going to be my last year for doing the float trip if I couldn't find something to keep me from aching just so much when I got done with these things from walking on rocks and not being able to keep good footing and being tense and blah, 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 blah. Enter the Salomon Tech Amphibian 3. Amazing. Basically what people did with these shoes, here's a picture of them. Basically what people did with these shoes is they started with a hiking boot and they just started cutting crap away from it. So that eventually you ended up with a shoe that's got great webbing on it, so that it lets water out, but you've still got the sole of a hiker. So you've got all that control and all that grip and all that stability under your foot to keep you in great shape so you can walk along the river without worrying about beating the bottom of your feet up. Yeah, they still get gravel on the inside of them, but it's not nearly as bad. There are several things about this shoe that I really enjoy. They come in a bunch of different colors. There are several different things about the shoe that I enjoy, as I've said. One thing that I find that's really cool about river shoes is you may notice these don't have any laces on them whatsoever. Instead, what you've got is this is kind of like a yank system where your laces are all threaded up the front of the shoe here, but instead of laces, you have this little thing. You yank it and everything tightens up here, and then you just slide this little thing down, and suddenly it's tight on your foot. That's wonderful, and it keeps you from getting tangled up with your laces and having to worry about your shoe coming untied while you're in the middle of the river, which is absolutely king. I have no idea what this little material here is made out of, but it is super duper strong. Very happy with that. Another thing that I really enjoy about this shoe, that may be one of the best features of it altogether. See this little thing right here? This strap is for what's called an adjustable heel cup. Typically when you put shoes on, they kind of end up, right here and tucked in. One of the things that you're really going to have problems with when your foot gets wet is because you want the shoe to fit, the shoe kind of mimics the back of your foot as it goes up. It cups your heel. Problem is, you've got to get the shoe off over your heel, and that's a pain in the butt to do when it's wet. Great thing about this thing, though, is you grab this, you loosen it up, and then suddenly the shoe, your heel cup slides back all the way. When it's tight, and I'll go ahead and tighten it up here. When it is tight, I don't know if you can see how much farther forward this is now to mimic the shape of the foot. Having to get your heel out, your heel wants to come straight up like that, but it can't because this is cupped in there. Typically what that means is you have to, unlace your shoes, open them up real wide so that you can create enough of a gap here that you can slide your whole foot forward and then lift it out. Doing that while it's wet is a massive, massive problem. With these things, though, you just pull the little buckle, which I can assure you is very easy to do, and suddenly, rather than being leaned over forward, it's wide open like that, and you can just drop your whole foot in and out. For that reason and that reason alone, these things are worth the money, which, by the way, I wear a size 12. These days, these things retail for something like $80. The bottom of them, super duper great. Nice, solid hiking shoe sole, so tons of really, really good grip. It's non-streak black rubber, so you can wear them around elsewhere when you're not in the water, if you feel so inclined. Very, very sturdy. Never felt a single rock. Very, very good, solid. Very, very good grip. Lots of mesh all over the body of the shoe to let water drain out. Nice, sturdy front toe here, so I never had to worry about stubbing my toe on anything. Very, very cool. Also, I typically have wider feet than your average Joe. I'm not quite wide enough to require, special wide shoe sizes, but I do tend to have wider feet. These accommodated it very, very well. They've got a nice, generous toe box here along the front to accommodate people with wider feet. I do recommend, if you're going to get these, wearing them for a couple of hours before you get into the water without socks on, so you just get a feel for how the shoe sits. I recommend cinching them down tight when you're in the water, but overall, just absolutely, absolutely amazing shoes. Great shoes in general, but great shoes for the water. Completely and totally save the float trip, along with amazing weather, for what it's worth. But just absolutely the savior of the float. I'll wear them again next year. Would buy them again. I know a lot of people that have Salomons and they swear by them and they say they just last forever with regular use. I'm only going to be using these things once or twice a year. So, just really, really, really amazing footwear. Very, very happy that I got them. That's everything that I have to talk about today. What was supposed to have been a short video has turned into something that's, I think, around 20 minutes long. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Have a great day.